once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world, even more particularly to all Shepherd's Rod believers, and most especially to our beloved brothers and sisters in the United States of America. Special greetings to our brethren in Colorado, our brethren in Georgia, in Kansas, in Texas, Missouri, in Chicago, Illinois, in Fiji Island, Mexico, Spain, in Africa, Pakistan, Kenya, also to our brethren in Zambia, and to the United Kingdom, and to our brethren in Australia, and to the rest of the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. Greetings. May the good Lord bless you, brothers and sisters. For this message is especially and directly addressed to all the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. This is our special episode number 9 on the subject, the beast and its image. And it is one of the most important subject that we need to focus our attention. Now, at this time, I would like to focus first to the four winds. What is the symbolization of the four winds in Revelation 7 on verse 4? Now, I'd like to read two symbolic code number 10 on page 12. It says, holding the four winds. What is the meaning of the angels holding the four winds? It says, the act of the four angels holding the four winds shows that their appointed work is to restrain some important event symbolized by four blowing winds. So it says that the four angels had been given the command to hold the four winds, and it says that it is to restrain some important event symbolized by four blowing winds. But the absolute fact is that the mere fact that the angel had been given the absolute command to hold the four winds, clearly indicating that the four winds at that time were already in existence. Otherwise, there would be nothing to hold. So, holding the four winds is to hold that such winds should not blow. Now here in 5 symbolic code, 6 to 12, page 8, the mark of the beast, when and what is it? Now, I would like to remind first that according to the Shepherd's Rod and 1SR Packet Edition, page 9 and page 10, it says, any thinker knows that to have made known the truth of it before time would have left it as vain, valueless, and ineffective, as would making known the truth about the image of the beast years before or a minute after it does its deceptive work. But at the striking of the foreordained hour, the time inspiration unlocks the mystery, all can behold the truth and profit by it. Happily, we can then intelligently strive to be among this guileless company, and can be sealed with them if we sincerely and steadfastly follow on to know the truth on time. So, the voice of inspiration is plainly telling that if the revelation concerning the mark of the beast, concerning the image of the beast, at the time when the fulfillment is still in a far distant future, it is valueless. More particularly, if such revelation will be given to the people by which in reality they will not experience it. Therefore, such warning, such revelation must be to the people who will experience such event. And before the event will take place, there must be a warning message so that they could be able to avoid and escape such deception. Now, I would like to read again the statement. Says, what danger will there be that men will worship the beast at a time when there will be none for them to worship? God will never send an angel to warn men against the worship of the beast when he does not exist. And in the other statement, it says, the third angel gives us warning of the danger which is now before us. The warning precedes the danger, that we by seasonal admonition may make our escape. So, that statement is very plain. Now, let us go back to 5 symbolic code number 6 to 12, page 8. It says, the mark of the beast, when and what is it? It says, is the mark of the beast the Sunday law? Is it to be enforced before or after the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9? So the question is, does the mark of the beast will be enforced before the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9? Or is it after the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9? And when will the gold be separated from the dross in the church? This testimonies for the church, volume 5, page 81. Answer. Former publications of present truth have made clear that the winds held by the four angels of Revelation 7 verse 1 represent the angels holding back the anger of the nations, the image of the beast. So what is the four winds? The image of the beast. Also that the angels will not let the winds blow into being the image of the beast before the 144,000 are sealed. 5 symbolic codes, 6 to 12, page 8. What is the four winds? The image of the beast. So here in track number 8, on page 22, it says, accordingly, God's restraining of the four winds is holding back the image of the beast activity. So what is the significance of the holding of the four winds? Restraining back the image of the beast activity, meaning the enforcement. Now, those statements is very plain. That at the time when God commanded the four angels to hold the four winds, indicates that at that time, the four winds are already in existence. What is the four winds? The image of the beast. So the voice of inspiration is plainly telling, brothers and sisters, that the holding of the four winds is holding back the image of the beast not to be implemented. The enforcement. Now, I would like to read the old symbolic code. To symbolic code, number 7 and 8, page 12. Will the churches unite before Ezekiel 9? This is the question. Will the nominal churches be united before the slaughter of Ezekiel 9 and before the loud cry of the third angel's message takes place? Answer. The churches may incompletely confederate almost any time. Why is it that the Jefferson says incompletely confederate? Because the one that had been united is only the nominal churches. Who are they, the nominal churches? All first-day Adventists, or we commonly called as Sunday keepers. Now let us read early writings. Early writings on page 299. Nominal Adventists, those who united in sounding the first and second angel's messages, but who rejected the third angel's message with its Sabbath truth, but nonetheless continued to espouse the Advent hope, are referred to by Mrs. White as the nominal Adventists, or those who reject the present truth, also different parties of professed Advent believers. In our early literature, these people were also referred to as first-day Adventists, or the Sunday keepers. Now, let us ponder deeply, brothers and sisters, the statement given by 2 symbolic codes, 7 and 8, page 12. The churches may incompletely confederate almost any time. Whose churches? The nominal churches. Then it says, but the union of church and state, the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? The union of church and state will take place only after the investigative judgment of the dead is completed. For the fact that the anger of the nations, the time of trouble, Daniel 12 verse 1, the wrath of God, the 7 last plagues, Revelation 15:1, and the time to judge the dead, Daniel 8:14, are events separate and distinct, one following the other. Therefore, the persecution against the church by the image beast arises in the time of the judgment of the living, the time of the loud cry, after the sealing of the 144,000. Now, let us ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. First, in the beast study, what is the illustration that all the nominal churches are completely united? When all the nominal churches are completely united, what is the term used by inspiration? Image to the beast. Now, I would like to read Story of Redemption. And do not forget always that both the image to the beast and image of the beast will be formed in the United States of America. Great controversy 443. The image of the beast will be made by the two-horned beast. Now, I would like to read a Story of Redemption, page 381. It says, by this first beast is represented the Roman Church, and ecclesiastical body clothed with civil power, having authority to punish all dissenters. The image to the beast represents another religious body clothed with similar powers. The formation of this image is the work of that beast whose peaceful rise and mild professions render it so striking a symbol of the United States. Here is to be found an image of the papacy when the churches of our land, but what churches? Into symbolic code 7 to 8, page 12. The nominal churches, all the Sunday keepers. It says, when the churches of our land, uniting upon such points of faith as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and sustain their institutions, then will Protestant America have formed an image of the Roman hierarchy. Then the true church will be assailed by persecution as were God's ancient people. Story of Redemption, page 381 and page 382. Now, let us now focus our attention, brothers and sisters, to the image to the beast. What is image to the beast? Religious body. But it is illustrated, brothers and sisters, by the woman sitting on the 7 heads. That is the illustration of the image to the beast. Religious body united as one. Who are they? The nominal churches. When they will be united, brothers and sisters. Now let us read again the statement in the old symbolic code. One symbolic code, number 5, page 6. So let us read. It says, the questioner will note that there are 2 beasts with 7 heads. One in Revelation 13, which is the leopard-like beast, and the other in Revelation 17, which is the scarlet-colored beast. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is symbolized by one of the heads on the former beast. So one of the 7 heads of the leopard-like beast, the Seventh-day Adventist, is a part of that 7 heads of the leopard-like beast. The woman sits on the 7 heads of the latter beast. So the woman sits on the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast, which has nothing to do with the Seventh-day Adventist denomination. So here we can clearly see that the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast, brothers and sisters, is composed only with the nominal churches. All the first-day Adventists, all Sunday keepers, and then it says, and which finds its fulfillment in the period after the purification of the church. So the voice of inspiration says, when does all the nominal churches in the United States of America will be completely united? It is after the purification of the church. That purification of the church cannot be the slaughtering, because the event to take
place after the slaughtering is that the woman sits on the scarlet-colored beast. And the shepherd's rod is very plain that it is impossible that the woman sits in two objects with the same period of time. Although I no longer considered the first object because it was already in the past. 2 SR 122. So I would like to read the statement. Note that the woman sits on the waters, also on the heads and on the beast, as it would be impossible for one person to sit on all three objects at one time. The prophetic symbols reveal a spiritual fraud in three different periods of time. Three different periods of time. But at this time, I would like to drop the first period because it was already in the past. But the last two periods must be two different periods of time. That the woman will sit on the seven heads first before the woman will sit on the beast. And the purification of the church, which is pointing to the slaughtering, that is the time when the woman will sit on the scarlet-colored beast. Therefore, the purification of the church mentioned in our reading, that the woman sits on the seven heads after the purification of the church, is pointing to the purification of the church in the heavenly sanctuary, as stated in tract number 3, page 53, that the cleansing takes place first in the heavenly sanctuary before the earthly sanctuary. So after that final day of atonement, then the woman immediately sits on the seven heads. Now let us read again the statement in 13 Symbolic Code number 3 and 4 on page 10. So let us read the statement. It says, the confederacy that we are studying this afternoon commences before the loud cry and before the slaughter of Ezekiel 9. The subject matter in this reading is first the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy, and then the two tribes by which they went to Assyria asking for protection. And that is one of the most important subject that we will now be studying. Brothers and sisters, who are they? The antitypical two tribes that will ask protection to antitypical Assyria. Anciently, brothers and sisters, the reason why the two tribes asked protection to Assyria, because they heard that the 10 tribes and the Syrian united together to attack the two tribes. I would like to read first that event in Prophets and Kings. Prophets and Kings on page 329. It says here, well, would it have been for the kingdom of Judah had Ahaz received this message as from heaven. But choosing to lean on the arm of flesh, he sought help from the heathen. In desperation, he sent word to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me. 2 Kings 16 verse 7. The request was accompanied by a rich present from the king's treasure and from the temple's storehouse. But why is it, brothers and sisters, that King Ahaz was obliged to ask protection in Assyrian realm, brothers and sisters? It is so because such apostasy. And the description given in the Bible in Isaiah 7, that the hearts of the people and the heart of the king was moved like a wind. And that is because of such apostasy. And we know that such historical event is typological. And we need to study closely, brothers and sisters, who are they, the antitypical two tribes? And why is it that they will be forced to ask protection in antitypical Assyria? I would like to read first here in tract number 14. Remember, brothers and sisters, prophecy must be fulfilled. So here in tract number 14 on page 32, tract number 14, page 32, it says, that is though ancient Judah was not to suffer defeat by the confederacy of Israel and Syria, she was nevertheless also to be brought under tribute to ancient Assyria. And as we shall see, the spirit of this confederacy did not end with that of ancient Israel and ancient Syria. So, this subject, although we have a separate subject concerning about it, but it is in close relation to the subject, the beast and its image. More particularly to that event when the woman sits on the seven heads of the scarlet-colored beast. What is the scarlet-colored beast? The image of the beast. So the scarlet-colored beast, brothers and sisters, it is called the image of the beast. But the seven heads of the scarlet-colored beast is a part of that scarlet-colored beast, which is the image of the beast. But inspiration will not confuse us the terms image of the beast and image to the beast. Because image of the beast, that is church and state union. 2 Symbolic Code 7 and 8, page 12. But image to the beast, purely ecclesiastical. All the nominal churches, which pointing to all First-day Adventists, all Christian Sunday keepers, all of them will be completely united, and such unification of all the nominal churches, all the Christians, Sunday-keeping Christians in the United States of America, is called image to the beast, which is symbolized by the woman sitting on the seven heads. Now, let us read again the statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10. Let us read. It says, the confederacy that we are studying this afternoon commences before the loud cry and before the slaughter of Ezekiel 9. Then it says, it is not the image of the beast, for this association precedes the image of the beast, and the confederacy is formed when the nations are girding themselves for war. Now, I would like to read to you first track number 12. So, let's read the statement. Track number 12, page 53. Current events that may fulfill prophecy. Of course, current events pointing to the present occurrences in the United States of America. But it is pointing to two Palestine, ancient Palestine and modern Palestine. Now, I would like to read this reading. It says, because the bone of contention among the angry nations of today is the world's market, the world's markets. No one can deny the absolute fact that at this present time, United States of America is now being controlled by capitalism. They were now holding, brothers and sisters, the modern communication. And in such incident, we can clearly see how powerful the capitalism now is. If they had been able to withhold the freedom of speech of the highest official in the United States of America, the President of the United States of America had been blocked, brothers and sisters, in the communication industry, how much more to the ordinary person? Now, let us read again the statement. In track number 12, page 53, it says, current events that may fulfill prophecy. Because the bone of contention among the angry nations of today is the world's markets, and that is the powerful tool of the United States of America to weaken the power of any nation which is standing against United States of America. They will control the world market. They will implement economic sanction. And that is the bone of contention among the angry nations of today is the world's markets. And then it says, and because the churches are threatened by totalitarian governments, but at this time, the totalitarian governments, brothers and sisters, in the current event is pointing to the capitalism. And the churches are threatened by the totalitarian governments and thus urged to press together in order to preserve Christianity Christianity. Let us study first the occurrence in the United States of America before the occurrence outside United States of America. For the shepherd's rod, the Bible, the spear prophecy predict first the occurrence to take place within the United States of America. So, first, it must be applied to all the nominal churches that they will be urged to press together. Now, let us read again the statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10. It says, put another way, I would like to focus this part. Put another way, the confederacy will commence after the sealing. Brothers and sisters, the sealing mentioned here could not be the sealing of the 144,000 to take place on the earthly sanctuary. Because if this sealing is the sealing on the earthly sanctuary, after the 144,000 are completely sealed, then commence the loud cry. But this confederacy commences before the loud cry and after the sealing of the 144,000. Look at the event, brothers and sisters. But those who reject the new codes, they will immediately say, this statement contradicts the other writings of B.T. Hotep, because there are abundance of evidences in the writings of B.T. Hotep that after the 144,000 completely sealed, then loud cry begins. Then they will say, this statement contradicts the shepherd's rod, because it says that the confederacy, what confederacy? Syrian and 10 tribes confederacy. Because the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederate together, brothers and sisters, to attack Judah. Judah go to Assyria for protection. These two events commences before the loud cry and after the sealing of the 144,000. So, after, let us put here, the sealing of the 144,000 finished after the sealing. Then, after the sealing of the 144,000, confederacy commenced. Then, that is before the loud cry. So, the intervening period after the sealing of the 144,000 is the confederacy. Then, this confederacy commences before the loud cry. And then they will say, you see, the new codes contradict to the writings of B.T. Hotep, because when the 144,000 is completely sealed, after they are sealed, then loud cry begins. But it's so because they did not understand, brothers and sisters, that there is a sealing of the 144,000 in the heavenly sanctuary. The only reason that they could not understand the new codes, because they were in total darkness concerning the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary. And that's why B.T. Hotep says that the closing work for the church is in twofold view. So let's read that statement. I think that is in track number 1. It was illustrated in twofold view. Track number 1, page 19 and page 20. It says, since the sealing of Revelation chapter 7 is the same as the marking of Ezekiel 9, which precedes the slaughter, it says, the sealing being the same as the marking, Ezekiel 9, the purification, we thus are given a twofold view of the closing work for the church. What is purification? Twofold view of purification. Track number 1, page 19 and page 20. There are twofold view of purification. The purification of the church in the heavenly sanctuary and the purification of the church on the earthly sanctuary. So this statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10, is perfectly corroborating to 1 Symbolic Code, number 5, page 6, that the fulfillment of the woman sitting on the 7 heads is after the purification of the church. And that is after the sealing of the 144,000. Where? In the heavenly sanctuary. So let us read again the statement here. In 13 Symbolic Code, number 3 and 4, page 10. Put another way, the confederacy will commence after the sealing. Where? In the heavenly sanctuary. Because the sealing in the heavenly sanctuary takes place before the commencement of the loud cry. So it says here, put another way, the confederacy will commence after the sealing and perhaps just before the slaughter of Ezekiel 9. Moreover, it is in the time when the Christian nations are united. So that is the time when the nominal churches are united. That the woman, Babylon, will sit on the seven heads. Revelation 17 verse 9, depicting also the union of the churches under Babylon. 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10. I know that it is not just an easy subject, brothers and sisters. Need concentration and need more sincerity and honesty, a desire to know what the Word of God really teaches. Now, I would like to read 2SR. 2SR page 88. Where systems and governments do not all exist at the same time, the symbols show their consecutive order. Another factor to be noted that every symbol of the entire procession of the beast pointed out facts that were to transpire within the period represented by each beast. And not one of them refers to anything in the past, save the hereditary ancestral characteristics. Therefore, heads or horns have no reference to anything before or after the period represented by the beast. It is also unnatural for heads, members of the beast, to exist before or after the beast himself. Therefore, it would be inconsistent to conclude that the horns as well as the heads could denote a consecutive order of systems so long as they all appear at the time of the closing act of the beast. Now, brothers and sisters, what is the closing act of the scarlet-colored beast? Let us distinctly separate the closing act of the woman, because her last act is riding the scarlet-colored beast. But the closing act of the scarlet-colored beast, brothers and sisters, is at the time when the woman sits on the seven heads of the scarlet-colored beast. And the shepherd's rod made it so plain that at the time when the woman sits on the seven heads of the scarlet-colored beast, all of them are already existence in that period of time. The shepherd's rod did not teach that the seven heads are not consecutive, because they were consecutive. But what the shepherd's rod teaches is that the woman did not sit on the seven heads consecutive. That at the time when the first head in existence, the woman sit on the first head, then the second head, then the third head, then the fourth. No, the woman sits on the seven heads at the same period of time, indicating that all of them are already in existence. Or put in another way, the statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10. The seven heads of the scarlet-colored beast is the image to the beast. Religious body. Story of Redemption, page 381. Under Babylon. Now, what is the statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10? When does the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy will commence? At the time when the woman sits on the seven heads. So I would like to repeat again, basing what the shepherd's rod teaches. When does the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy will commence? By which at that time, the two tribes is frightened of such confederacy. The two tribes pay tribute to Assyria. That these two events will be fulfilled at the time when the woman sits on the seven heads, according to 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10. Now, in 1 Symbolic Code, number 5, page 6, when does the woman sits on the seven heads? After the purification of the church. What purification of the church? In the heavenly sanctuary. What does it mean? After the purification of the church, when all the names of the wicked had been completely blotted out among the congregation of the living, by which only the names of the 144,000 living saints that had been left written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Therefore, it is called the sealing of the 144,000 in the heavenly sanctuary, in the holy place, is finished. And that is what the statement in 13 Symbolic Code 3 and 4, page 10 is completely saying. That this confederacy, 10 tribes and Syrian confederacy will take place after the sealing of the 144,000. At the time when the woman sits on the seven heads. When does the woman sits on the seven heads? After the purification of the church. What purification of the church? In the heavenly sanctuary indicates that all the names of the wicked had been completely blotted out, and the only names remain are the names that had been sealed by the seal of the living God. And that is the reason why their names had been left written in the Lamb's Book of Life, because they were sealed by the seal of the living God. Therefore, it is after the sealing of the 144,000 in the heavenly sanctuary. Now, I would like to read first, brothers and sisters, the statement in Symbolic Code. 13 Symbolic Code number 3 and 4 on page 10. All those who are not expecting the confederacy, it seems that the Bedean apology, if it is not appropriate, but I think this is the reality. The truth of the matter is that the Bedean has no knowledge, has no understanding concerning Syrian and 10 tribes confederacy. And they did not even know who are they, the 2 tribes that will ask protection to Assyria. And they did not even know why is it that these 2 tribes will ask protection to Assyria. What is the root cause? In the type, the root cause is that they were led by the king, King Ahaz, that completely apostatized. And because of that, he completely failed to trust the living word of God. When he heard that Syria and 10 tribes are already united to attack his kingdom, he find no other solution but to find protection to Assyria. And to repeat again, that event is typological. The 144,000 living saints will not be tested by the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? Church and state union. Because although it was already in existence, but Jesus Christ commanded the 4 angels to hold the 4 winds. So there is no possibility that such church and state union represented by the image of the beast will be implemented while the 144,000 living saints were not as yet protected. But how about to the image to the beast represented by the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy? Now, let us read again 13 Symbolic Code number 3 and 4, page 10. It says, all those who are not expecting the confederacy, but instead are expecting next the reassertion of Roman Church supremacy, but what they are looking is the Sunday Blue Law enforcement. Why is it that we will be looking for the Sunday Blue Law enforcement? If that is the case, then we did not fully believe what God had promised, that the Sunday Blue Law cannot be implemented while the 144,000 were not yet fully protected. So, nothing to worry about the Sunday Blue Law enforcement. But we need to worry about the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy. Or in other words, we need to focus our attention first to the image to the beast. Because the image of the beast, the one will be tested by the image of the beast is the great multitude. But the image to the beast, it is to the 144,000 living saints. Although concerning Syrian and 10 tribes confederacy and concerning the 2 tribes asking protection for Assyria, we have a separate subject, but such subject is closely connected to the subject, the image to the beast. What is the image to the beast? Religious body, clothed with civil power. Now, let us read first tract number 14 on page 33. Let us read the statement. But the simple historical fact that these 2 kingdoms, what 2 kingdoms? The 10 tribes and the Syrian were overthrown centuries before Emmanuel was even born, brings a time discrepancy which can be reconciled only by the conclusion that all 4 nations, Judah, Israel, Syria, and Assyria, involved in this historical action were typical of 4 others that were to arise sometime following Emmanuel's birth. For after his birth, Israel and Syria were to be conquered by Assyria. It could not be pointing to the first advent of Jesus Christ because Jesus Christ was born in 4 BC. Now, when does the Syrian and the 10 tribes confederacy took place? Dark Ages. Would you think at that time Jesus Christ did not know how to say my father and my mother? Or Jesus Christ did not know as yet how to refuse the evil and choose the good? So it is only the groundwork. So I would like to read again the statement in page 33. Necessarily then, there must be found in the Christian dispensation a backslidden Christian power, Israel, confederated with a pagan one, Syria, to the end of assimilating or annihilating the Orthodox Christians, Judah. And the only such confederacy in the Christian era was the unholy union of church and state which ruled during the Dark Ages. Since we are familiar concerning the Dark Ages, then antitypical Syria during the Dark Ages is the Catholic Church, the papacy. And who are they, the 10 tribes? The Ephesus, by which the shepherd's rod declared clearly that the Ephesus became Catholics. It says here in 1 Symbolic Code 3, page 5, it says, the early Christian church, which Catholic later, pointing to the Ephesus, the first candlestick in Revelation chapter 2. Later on, it was conquered by Syria, brothers and sisters. And who is Syria? Catholics, the papacy. So the 10 tribes, the Ephesian church united with the Catholic church, that is called Syrian and 10 tribes confederacy, but the shepherd's rod called it church and state union. So not all church and state union is called image, because the church and state union in the Dark Ages is not called image. What is church and state union, brothers and sisters? It is a religious body clothed with civil power. So the image to the beast is church and state union. So in this case, the state must be the antitypical Syria, which is the nominal churches under the jurisdiction of the woman, because the woman herself has a civil power. So the image to the beast, it says religious body clothed with civil power. So that is image to the beast. So what is the civil authority in that illustration? The woman herself, who controlled the 7 heads, sitting on the 7 heads. And the 10 tribes, who are they, the 10 tribes? It must be the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, let us read again. 1 Symbolic Code number 9, page 3. Let us read. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, repeating the history of the Jews, Volume 5, page 160, will be swayed by its priests and rulers today to take a course against the faithful servants of God, similar to that followed by the priests and rulers in their treatment of Christ and the apostles. 1 Symbolic Code number 9, page 3. As the 144,000 become more and more like their Savior, the light of the world, making manifest the darkness and error enveloping the church, the leaders in their fanatical hatred of the saints. Whose saints? The living saints. The 144,000 living saints, it says, will move the mob to a mad fury against them, and in desperation, born of blind and raging hatred, will reach out for the civil arm of power to accomplish their evil ends, merging the following type into antitype. So that is very plain. 1 Symbolic Code number 9, page 3. So what is the illustration, brothers and sisters, of the type? It is found on the red dragon. It is found on the red dragon, brothers and sisters. Who is the antitypical Jewish church? The Seventh-day Adventist Church. But the Seventh-day Adventist Church was already illustrated in the leopard like this. Now, let us ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. I would like to repeat again. Does the red dragon exist today? What is the description of the red dragon? In Revelation 12:3, having 10 horns and having 7 heads. And the 7 heads of the red dragon were crowned. What does it mean? That the 7 heads of the red dragon had been crowned. Denotes complete apostasy. Now let's read 2SR, page 69. It says, the dragon with his 7 heads and 10 horns, with the crowns on the heads, appeared at the birth of Christ, as previously explained, and occupies the period parallel with the nondescript beast. Now, ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. It says, with the crowns on the heads appeared at the birth of Christ. But the birth of Christ is closely connected to the Assyrian Confederacy. Because it says, after his birth, this confederacy will commence. And what is the description of the red dragon at the birth of Jesus Christ? The 7 heads are crowned. Now let us continue reading. It says, the heads are represented by the biblical number 7, meaning completeness, and embrace every religious system in the days of Christ. I would like to gradually summarize our subject. What is the image of the beast? That is the 4 winds. Or what is the 4 winds? That is the image of the beast. When does God commanded the 4 angels to hold the 4 winds? At the sealing of the 144,000. Track number 8. Let's read track number 8, page 21. I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth at the time of the sealing of the 144,000. So the 4 winds are already in existence during the period of the sealing of the 144,000. But it cannot be implemented. Why? Because God restrained the power of the dragon, brothers and sisters, not to blow. What does it mean? Not to be implemented. But the absolute fact is that the image of the beast are already in existence. What is the image of the beast? The scarlet-colored beast. The scarlet-colored beast. That is the image of the beast. Although we read it several times, but let us read again. One symbolic code, number 4, page 7. It says, and the image of the beast above mentioned is the third, of which the scarlet-colored beast of Revelation 17 is symbolical. One symbolic code, number 4, page 7. What does the scarlet-colored beast symbolizes? Image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? Church and state union. Let us read again. To symbolic code number 7 and 8, page 12. To symbolic code number 7 and 8, page 12. It says, the churches may incompletely confederate almost any time, but the union of church and state, the image of the beast. So what is the image of the beast? The union of church and state. What is the image to the beast? That is the woman seated on the 7 heads. That is the image to the beast. So after the woman seated on the 7 heads, the 10 tribes represented by the Seventh-day Adventist Church will unite to antitypical Syria. What is antitypical Syria? The image to the beast. But the shepherds had called it church and state union. Because the woman, that religious body, is clothed with civil power. Although it is not the civil authority of itself, but she was only clothed with civil power. What does it mean? That religious body, which is the woman seated, pointing to the all Sunday keepers in the United States of America, has a great influence to all who are in the civil authorities in the United States of America. And the Seventh-day Adventist Church will unite with that image to the beast, represented by antitypical Assyria. For what purpose? What is the purpose of the 10 tribes? To attack the 2 tribes. But the 2 tribes is divided into 2. Those who pay tribute to Assyria to ask protection to the civil authorities, and those represented by the house of David, the 144,000 living saints. They did not ask protection to the civil authorities. So why is it that part of the 2 tribes ask protection to the civil authorities? And why is it that the 144,000 living saints, brothers and sisters, did not ask protection to the civil authorities? So to those who wish to understand it completely, we have a separate subject, the Assyrian Confederacy. And we will also call it special episodes. Now let us go back to our subject concerning the image to the beast. When the woman is seated on the 7 heads, it is called image to the beast, religious body, clothed with civil power. We know that in the Bible, Revelation 13, on verse 14, it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now, I would like to focus again to Revelation 13:14. It says, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. Who said unto them? And who are they that pronoun them? We know verse 14. According to the shepherd's rod, the one that performed miracles is the false prophet. So it is the false prophet that urges the nominal churches that they would unite as one body, because image to the beast, united religious body. When it will be fulfilled? At the time when that image to the beast that had been wounded by a sword and did live. So what does it mean by at the time that it did live? That is the time by which the false prophet urges all of them, the Sunday keepers, the nominal Adventists or the nominal churches, to unite together as one. But the Bible teaches that event takes place at the time when that image to the beast that had been wounded by a sword and did live. Now, we already explained several times, brothers and sisters, that the only part that had been wounded by Martin Luther is only ecclesiastical half. I will no longer read. Answerer number 3, page 45. Only the ecclesiastical half. What ecclesiastical? Catholicism. Catholicism, brothers and sisters. But Catholicism is founded in two fundamental doctrines: immortality of the soul and the Sunday observance. And as far as the historical event is thus concerned, the shepherd's rod is absolutely right by saying that only ecclesiastical half that had been wounded by Martin Luther, that is, brothers and sisters, the immortality of the soul. According to Great Controversy 57 and 58 and 549. But the Sunday observance never been wounded by Martin Luther, neither by all the reformers in the Dark Ages, because all of them are Sunday keepers. So the statement, I would like to read, 2SR, page 85, the nondescript beast of Daniel 7, representing Rome in his first stage, shows prophetically by his 10 horns that there were 10 kings to arise out of Rome. In his second stage, it is shown that the papacy was to arise and subdue 3 kings and wear out the saints of the Most High for the space of 1,260 years. But it tells not of the fall of the Roman monarchy or the papacy. It is silent concerning the Reformation that came before or after 1798 AD. 2SR page 85, the statement, the Reformation during the Dark Ages and the Reformation after the Dark Ages. 2SR page 85. Who wounded the ecclesiastical half of the Catholicism? The Reformation that had been raised by God during the Dark Ages. Who wounded the half, the ecclesiastical half, pointing to the Sunday observance after the Dark Ages? The Reformation raised by God after the Dark Ages. And it is directly pointing to Alonzo Jones, because the only one that can wound the beast is the 11th hour message. And the 11th hour message is pointing particularly to the message, righteousness by faith. Now, I will no longer reading, brothers and sisters. That is found in 2TG 39 and also track number 8, page 59. It is the 11th hour message that will wound the beast. And we know that the message delivered by Martin Luther, brothers and sisters, is called righteousness by faith. 1SR 118. But it is not unfoldment. Right? According to 2SR 227, Martin Luther only lift up the downtrodden truth already taught by the apostles. And that is the reason that only half of the ecclesiastical had been wounded by Martin Luther. And the other half was wounded by Alonzo Jones. And that is the Sunday observance. Now, I would like to read this statement. Historical event in 1888. A national Sunday law is a question of national interest. While it is true that the Sunday rest bill did not become a law, the legislation having died with the expiration of the 50th Congress. So it says died. And that is the reason why the Bible used the term did live. In order for that image to the beast that died to did live, someone will give life to it. Someone will give life to it. And that someone is pointing to the President of the United States of America. And what is the principle of the leopard-like beast that had not been wounded during the Dark Ages? It is called religious freedom. But in a false idea, brothers and sisters, religious freedom in a false idea. Because historically, if you will be studying the beast study, according to 2TG 36, page 6, the beast represents the world. The world represented by the leopard-like beast, brothers and sisters, during the Dark Ages, is pointing to the world by which it is called in the Shepherd's Rod multi-sectarian system. And it is defined by religious freedom. And we will continue that on our next episode. Elaborate clearly what does it mean by religious freedom, by which there is no other president that give life to that religious freedom except Donald Trump. But according to the voice of inspiration, the 46th president, brothers and sisters, he will develop what had been started by the 45th president. Now, I would like to go back first to answerer number 2 on page 69 and page 70. It says here, the beast, says Elder G. W. Holt, writing in the early days of the message, having 7 heads and 10 horns, is the one referred to. What beast is that? Leopard-like beast, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And I think the image is the beast having 2 horns like a lamb. What is the image? It says, I think the image is the beast having 2 horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. His number is 666. What is that number 666? It is called by the Shepherd's Rod mystical number. Mystical number. Now, let us continue reading. It says, the last power that treads down the saints, says Elder White, writing at about the same time, is brought to view in Revelation 13:11-18. His number is 666. A word to the little flock, page 9. And finally, Sister White, in authenticating this position, declared, I saw all that would not receive the mark of the beast and his image in their foreheads. To repeat again, receiving the mark of the beast and of his image in their foreheads, and receiving the mark of the beast and of his image in their hands, pointing to 2 different periods of time. Receiving the mark of the beast and of his image in their foreheads precedes the receiving of the mark of the beast and of his image in their hands. So it says here, I saw all that would not receive the mark of the beast and of his image in their foreheads or in their hands could not buy or sell. I saw that the number 666 of the image beast was made up, and that it was the beast that changed the Sabbath. Who changed the Sabbath? It was the beast. And the image beast had followed on. And the image beast had followed on after and keep the popes and not God's Sabbath. Who changed the Sabbath? The beast. And the image beast followed. Now, so let us distinctly separate the beast that changed the Sabbath and the image beast that followed. And he developed, brothers and sisters, the image that was made up by that beast who changed the Sabbath. I would like to read first track number 3 on 3rd edition. Track number 3, 115, 3rd edition, 115. There is not, moreover, either scripture or church history to show that the judgment began in or before John's time. And still further, as the first angel's message was never preached before 1844. So that is very plain. The first angel's message was never preached before 1844. Then when the judgment hour came, this angel's message, the message concerning the judgment, went forth. The investigative judgment being in 2 sections. The first, devoted to the dead, and second to the living. The fact is evidence that though the first The second and the third angel's message, Revelation 14:6-12, applied directly to the period of the judgment of the living, they must also, though indirectly, apply to the period of the judgment of the dead. In this relation only, except as a warning of coming events, have they been preached since 1844. When therefore the judgment of the living commences, and the image of the beast is fully made up. Now it says, when therefore the judgment of the living commences, and the image of the beast is fully made up, then these messages are, with a loud cry, to be repeated as present truth concerning the living instead of the dead. Now ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. The statement says, and the image of the beast is fully made up. It did not say, and the image of the beast was fully made up. It is present tense. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? When the judgment of the living commences. Now, we need to trace now what judgment of the living mentioned here. Is it judgment of the living in the heavenly sanctuary, or the judgment of the living on the earthly sanctuary? By which, at the time when the judgment of the living commences, it says, brothers and sisters, the image of the beast is fully made up. What is the image of the beast, brothers and sisters? Church and state union. What is the four winds? The image of the beast. When does it is fully made up? Meaning, already in existence. At the commencement of the judgment of the living. Now let us read 2SR 171. The sealing of the 144,000 is at the closing of the judgment of the dead and at the beginning of the judgment of the living. So, the shepherd's rod is in perfect harmony. When does the sealing of the 144,000 begins? At the beginning of the judgment of the living. 2SR 171. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. It is fully made up. That is very plain, brothers and sisters. What is the four winds? The image of the beast. The image of the beast is fully made up. When? At the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. And since it was only fully made up, then it's necessary for God to hold the four winds, not to blow, not to be implemented, because it was already fully made up. When? At the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. Also stated in tract number 8, page 21, that the holding of the four winds is at the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. What is the four winds? Image of the beast. What is the holding of the four winds? Holding the image of the beast activity. What does it mean? That it cannot be implemented. Hold. God has an absolute power to hold that law, mark of the beast system, Sunday blue law. So the Sunday blue law, brothers and sisters, was already in existence. It was already fully made up at the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. Who made the image of the beast? Great controversy 443. The two-horned beast. It was made up in the United States of America. What does it mean? Why is it? It says, how is it to be formed? What is the image of the beast? One symbolic code 47, the scarlet-colored beast. What is the illustration of the scarlet-colored beast? Unharmed, not wounded. Why is it that it is not wounded? It is not harmed. Because it was formed at the time that there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. The picture tells the story. Symbols do not lie. 1SR 124. So I would like to read again. 2SR page 112. It says, therefore, if this beast, the scarlet-colored beast, let's read. Therefore, if this beast represents our world at the present time, would it not be unwise on the part of God if He should have neglected to foresee the present day multiplicity of sect and the great confusion among Christendom if the symbols by this beast fail to reveal the true condition of the churches? As the nondescript beast tells the fall of the church in the period he represents, so must the scarlet-colored. In fact, this is the principal reason why these prophetic beasts are presented. Now, ponder deeply this symbolization. I would like to gradually enumerate one by one. What is the scarlet-colored beast? Image of the beast. 1, symbolic code number 4, page 7. Who made the image of the beast? United States of America. Great controversy 443. How is it to be formed? How or in what way? Why is it that United States of America had been able to form the image of the beast? What is the image of the beast? Which is the scarlet-colored beast? 2SR 114. Multi-sectarian system. And what is the image of the beast? Which is a multi-sectarian system? It is pointing to a religio-political, monarchical government. Why is it that God revealed to John that the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast are unharmed, not wounded? Because it was formed at the time when there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. Now, ponder deeply, because everything is revealed in the beast revelation. I would like to enumerate again, one by one. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. What judgment of the living? Earthly sanctuary. Because in 1 symbolic code 16, page 3, Malachi 3, 1-3, that is judgment of the living. But the judgment of the living on earth precedes the judgment of the living in the heavenly sanctuary. The judgment of the living on earth is to sell the 144,000. The judgment of the living on the heavenly sanctuary is to blot out the sins of the 144,000. Let us enumerate now one by one. What is the 4 winds? Image of the beast. Why is it that Jesus Christ commanded the 4 angels to hold the 4 winds? Because it was fully made up. What is the 4 winds? Image of the beast. It was fully made up when? At the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. Jesus Christ commanded the angel to hold the 4 winds. What is the 4 winds? Image of the beast. Not to blow. Meaning, not to be implemented. Because the 144,000 are not yet sealed. So during the sealing of the 144,000, track number 3, 115, the image is fully made up, but it was not implemented because the 4 angels hold the 4 winds, which is the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored beast. 2SR 113. 1 symbolic code number 4, page 7. Why is it that the scarlet-colored beast is unharmed, not wounded? Because it is formed at the time when there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. Therefore, that is the erroneous doctrine to say that the divinely called movement of God, which is the 11th hour, will originate in the United States of America. Or in other words, God would raise up an 11th-hour movement in the United States of America. That is an erroneous doctrine, because if God will raise up an 11th-hour movement in the United States of America, then brothers and sisters, the prophecy will never meet its fulfillment that United States of America will form an image of the beast represented by the scarlet-colored beast, which is not wounded because there is no divinely called movement in the United States of America. And that is the reason why the image of the beast, the location is desert, wilderness. Meaning, the vineyard had been left by the husbandman. Desolate, desert. And because of that, the devil had been able to form an image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast. Now, I would like to read first 2SR 112 and 113. The scarlet-colored beast is the last symbolical beast in the continuous chain of historical events. This beast does not arise from the sea like the beast before it, but was seen in the wilderness. Therefore, the scarlet-colored beast is created by an historical incident, unlike the beast before it. The symbol denotes that it is not strife and wars between the nations that brings this beast upon the stage of action, but rather a principle that is the opposite of the symbol troubled sea. So, the scarlet-colored beast is the last card of the devil, and God revealed to John and brought unto us to inform you and I that it is the United States of America that will form an image of the beast. Great controversy 443. And it was symbolized by the scarlet-colored beast. 1 symbolic code number 4, page 7. And the scarlet-colored beast is not wounded. 2 TG 18 and 19. 2 SR 112, unharmed. Why? Because by the divinely called movement, the head will be wounded. 2SR page 97. But the fact that it was not wounded because there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. And that is the reason that it is illustrated that the scarlet colored beast, when it was established, it is illustrated as wilderness. That vineyard, brothers and sisters, was left by the husbandman, which is Jesus Christ. Desolate. Tract number 6. Let us read tract number 6. Page 33. His vineyard desolate. The fact that this vineyard, remember this is Isaiah 7 verse 23. It cannot be ancient vineyard. It points out to the United States of America because tract number 12, page 43, vineyard is Palestine. And United States of America, 1SR 158, that is modern Palestine. The fact that this vineyard, figurative of the church, Isaiah 5:7, wherein its vine was once worth a silver ling, has become a place for briars and thorns, shows that its husbandman has left it desolate, a type condition which Christ more fully projected in the following words, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem. So the type is the ancient Jerusalem and the antitype is United States of America. What is the Jerusalem of the United States of America? Washington, D.C. and the Capitol Hill. Let us read 1 TG. But it will be discussed in more detail in the subject, the 42 months prophecy. Let us read 1 TG 38:23. And what could they antitypically represent? And what could they antitypically represent? Comparatively speaking, Capitol Hill, the nation's executive mansion of the United States, the White House, we might call the Zion of the United States, and the capital city of the nation, Washington, D.C., we might call the Jerusalem of the United States. And the very first event we will show to you that given by God to us, that the time when the Capitol Hill of the United States of America, the White House, and the Washington, D.C. will be surrounded by soldiers, surrounded by armies, by militaries. The same sign that was given to Jerusalem of old indicates that United States of America is about to perish. United States of America is about to perish, brothers and sisters. We will discuss that on the subject, the 42 months prophecy, special episodes. Now, let us go back again, brethren. To repeat again, brothers and sisters, the scarlet color beast answers the condition of the United States of America. What is the statement in 2SR 112? If the scarlet colored beast fails to reveal the true condition of all the churches in the United States of America, then God was completely defeated. Because that is the last symbolization of the beast. What is the statement in 2SR page 10? Through the symbolization of the beast, God completely uncovers the traps of the devil. The Bidian is expert to explain headquarters or whatever it is, because that is the statement in 2SR page 10. The enemy has succeeded in confusing the written word of God, but symbols cannot. But symbols cannot. 2SR 288. The picture tells the story. Symbols do not lie. 1SR 124. Now, let us make a short summarization. What is the last beast in the book of Revelation? Is scarlet-colored beast. What is the principal reason why God revealed the scarlet-colored beast? There are two principal reasons. 2SR 112. To reveal the true condition of the churches and to tell the fall of the church. What church that will fall? Seventh-day Adventists. Whose churches? Saying the true condition of the churches. 2SR page 88. Whatever the symbolization of the beast, it must symbolize to the world it does represent. So what is the representation of the scarlet-colored beast? Image of the beast. 1 symbolic code 47. Where is the image of the beast to be formed? United States of America. Therefore, the churches mentioned there must be all the churches in the United States of America, because number 7 indicates completeness. And according to the Shepherd's Rod in 2SR, page 100, let us read, 2SR page 124, does the number of heads and full of names include all the offshoots from Protestantism and Catholicism? Had there been no mention made of being full of names, more than 7 and scarlet, which denote that God's people have been called out of it? Therefore, scarlet scheme under curse, ready to perish. So when the image of the beast is formed in the United States of America, indicates that America is ready to perish. the biblical number 7 heads would have included those who are carrying God's message. Would you think it is the Sunday keepers that carrying God's message? What is the representation of the beast? It must represent from the period the beast represented. When does the period of the scarlet colored beast begin? To SR 114, 1929. Who are they carrying God's message in 1929? Davidian. Now, the voice of inspiration says that at the time when the United States of America will form the image of the beast represented by the scarlet-colored beast, indicates that those who are carrying God's message in the period of the scarlet-colored beast, which is the Davidian, as in the period of the leopard-like. What does it mean by as in? Comparative, meaning the same. In the period of the leopard-like beast, the SDA had been defeated. In the period of the scarlet-colored beast, the Davidian had been defeated. What does it mean? Because if the Davidian had not been defeated, then America could never be able to form an image of the beast. Because the illustration of the image of the beast, it was not wounded, unharmed. Where is the place by which the image of the beast will be formed? United States of America. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored beast. And what is the representation of the scarlet-colored beast? Not wounded, uninjured, unharmed. Why? Because it was formed at the time when there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. Symbols do not lie, brethren. Do not waste your time because we are coming face to face. This blotting out of names, March 27, 2021. And if you will not listen to this message, your names will be blotted out on that very day. Because that is the statement. Only those who listen to the 11th hour message will be spared at that time, according to the voice of inspiration, brothers and sisters. White House Recruiter, page 37, it says, only those who give ear to the 11th hour call. What is the 11th hour call? Calling the 144,000 to escape all these churches. And that is the reason why the 144,000 is without a shepherd, because all of them escaped from all the churches established in the United States of America, because all of them are a part of the 7 heads of the red dragon. That is the statement in 1 Symbolic Code, number 9, page 3. What does it mean by the 7 heads of dragon? All religious system in modern Palestine is conquered by the devil. The same with the red dragon in the type. All religious system in ancient Palestine was conquered by the devil. Brethren, I would like to say that we are not saying that we are against all the churches in the United States of America. The reason that we proclaim this message because we don't want any one of them should perish, because United States of America is about to perish. It is about to perish. Assyria is about to perish, as far as the Bible is thus concerned. So all who would avoid and escape such oncoming destruction, brothers and sisters, it is high time now for us to place ourselves by which Jesus Christ could gather us. Who will gather the 144,000 to TJ 44:37? Jesus Christ will be the one to gather the first fruits. But who are they, the first fruits to be gathered? All of them that scattered throughout the whole world without a shepherd, meaning they escaped all the churches. And it is found in Words to the Little Flock. I would like to read again. That before this day of atonement will arrive, we need to escape from all the churches, brothers and sisters, and stand with the truth firmly, individually, wherever place you belong. Now, I would like to read again. Words to the Little Flock. Word to the Little Flock, and page 11. The work of the second angel was to show to the Advent host that Babylon had fallen. And as a large portion of them did not learn this fact until the power of the midnight cry waked them up, just in time for them to make their escape from the churches before the 10th day came on, before that final day of atonement will come, brothers and sisters. We need to escape from all these churches and be among the 144,000 scattered throughout the whole world without a shepherd. because of this great apostasy. What does it mean by great apostasy? Represented by the 7 heads of the red dragon. It says here in 1 SR 222, though such great apostasy and blasphemy has gripped the world, God church, 144,000 in number, is scattered throughout the length and breadth of the earth without a shepherd, have not bowed a knee to Baal. And we are now in that predicted event, great apostasy. Because according to the Bible, according to Alonzo Jones, according to Sister White, according to B.T. Hotep, according to the Word of God, the image of the beast will not be formed, not until the great apostasy. And what is the great apostasy? 1 SR 219-220, Isaiah 59:19, Isaiah 63 verse 5, Micah 7 verse 5. There is no man in the United States of America that God hath raised up. There is no inspired servant. That is an erroneous doctrine to say that there was an inspired servant in the United States of America, or there is. The last inspired servant that God raised in the United States of America is B.T. Hotep. And as far as the prophecy is thus concerned, God no longer raised any divinely called movement, any inspired servant in the United States of America. If there was a divinely called movement in the United States of America, the Pope cannot enter in the United States of America in 1965. In October 1965, the first visit of Pope Paul VI, brothers and sisters. So, according to 2SR page 10, through the symbolical prophecy of the beast revelation, God is able to enlighten the 144,000 living saints. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful evening.